In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can make a cartoonized portrait like this for Mother's Day or any other occasion that you want. If you want to just practice and just draw exactly what I will be drawing over here, you can use the same photo. I'm leaving the link to this in the description of this video. From the links below, you can also download the color palette for this and all of my brushes. And if you'll have fun drawing this with me and would like to explore Procreate even more, learn different styles and techniques, make sure to check out my Patreon. I add their new step-by-step video every week. Link is in the description. So now, with all that being said, grab your drawing tools, relax, and let's start. Let's make a new canvas, A4 canvas from Procreate, and rotate it this way. My portrait will be horizontal. And first, we are going to import here a photo. So to do it, let's go to the Actions menu, Add, and now insert a file or insert the photo depending where your photo is saved. Once this is imported, we are going to make it bigger to fit the canvas nicely. So here at the bottom, let's pick Uniform option and make this bigger. Let's put it somewhere like this, and then tap here to finish this. Make sure that there will be some space left here in the background. And now we are going to get the colors from our photo to create the color palette. I already have the color palette for this photo. It is in the description of this video. But if you're doing your own photo, you can get the colors like this. So first, place your finger somewhere on the head. Hold it for a second and you'll get the color. Okay? Now this color is over here. And you can just make a new color palette by tapping here on the plus. Create new color palette, and then just tap it in the empty space in the color palette to save it. Okay? So you will do the same now for the shirt, for the hair, the hairband, and all of the other main elements. Over here, I did change the color of the girl's shirt. I wanted to make it maybe in pink color. So I'll be using here this color. But this is not necessary and you can keep the colors as they are. And don't worry, you can always go back to this photo and get them again if you need to. You can adjust them. So once the colors are picked, we are going to turn down the opacity of this photo. Let's open the layers. We can tap over here and turn down the opacity. We want to see most of it still, so let's make it here about 38%. Okay? And we are going also to change the blending mode of this. So swipe it over here and set it to multiply. Now let's make a new layer and we can move this layer under the photo. And over here we can draw the outlines. So let's pick the color for the outlines. I'm going to use color number 1. It's a brown color. And let's pick a brush. We can just use here the monoline brush from calligraphy over here. For the outlines, my brush size will be 11. And now we can just outline this, creating a cartoon versions of those people. We can start maybe with the simple elements. Let's start here maybe with this headband. So outline this like that. And if you think that your lines are too shaky, we can adjust one setting. Let's go to the Actions menu. Now Preferences, Pressure and Smoothing. And over here we have to make the stabilization a higher number. I'll make it here now about 42%. Okay? So let's outline the main shapes. I'm starting here with this headband. Now I'm going to outline the ear and the hair around the head. And now the head. So let's just simplify this shape and draw it like this, okay? This will be good enough. Now we can draw her nose. We are also going to make it very simple, just a line. I'll draw it in this way. Now let's draw the eyes. I'll draw them as a line too, this way. And the smile. You can draw it just a line like this, Or if you want, you can draw it maybe like that. This is up to you. I'll keep it simple like that. And we can also add here those lines around her mouth to make it look like she's really happy. For the brows, we can just draw thicker lines. And then in the ear, we can still add here a line like this. So let's continue outlining her. We can now draw the neck. Then the shirt. Don't draw all the creases in here unless you really want to. I want this to be very simplified. We'll just keep it as it is now. And now the hair. So over here, I'll just draw a wavy lines because her hair is curly. So just like this would be enough. Also over here. Okay, this is fine. And we can turn off the photo for a second to see how this looks. So let's open the layers and just tap over here. And I would say it looks pretty nice. Okay, now let's make a new layer and outline the girl. So here I'm going to start with the ear maybe. And then the headband. Now over here, as you can see, her face is kind of in the mother's face. We can draw over it, and then we are going to erase here some lines from the mother's face. So let's just draw here what we can see actually, and then we can just go back and erase the lines we shouldn't see. I will make her brows also a thicker line. And here I'm going to simplify the hair at the end. And the shirt over here, I will also make it simple, maybe just like that. So this is enough. Now we can turn off that photo and we can erase the lines we shouldn't see. So let's first go over here. And now let's take the eraser. Let's tap on it again and set it also to the monoline brush. We can adjust the size. I'll start with size 37. And we can just erase the lines that are not in the right spots. So over here I can erase this line. Just go around your drawing and see if you have some lines that don't look nice. And over here I'm looking at her neck and it doesn't look very nice. I'm going to erase it and just add a line on my own over here. So I'll make the brush size bigger for this. And I'm going to redraw it. I think like this would be nicer. Okay, now I'm happy with this. We can go to the other layer, the layer of the mother outline, and erase some lines that we shouldn't see over here. So now I'm going to erase here some of her face. Over here this line. Somewhere here maybe around the fingers. Okay, I think everything is okay now. I just have to add the line for the hair. And I think that's all. To color this, we want to have all the outlines on one layer. So let's open the layers and we can just pinch those two layers here together, like this. Okay, this looks fine now. We still had here some kind of flower that she was holding. Let's bring back our photo. Something like this. We can draw it now. Let's make a new layer for this. Let's draw it over here. I'm not drawing here anything exactly precise what is over here on the photo. I'm just drawing some kind of shape. Maybe like that. And then maybe I'll add here some kind of flowers. So it'll be a little bit more interesting. Okay, just like that. So now I have to go to the other layer. This one. Take the eraser and erase what we shouldn't see over here. Okay, like this will be fine from me. So now we can merge those two layers together, pinch them together like this, and we can start coloring this. So to do it easily and quickly, we can set this layer here as reference. Let's tap over here and pick reference. Now let's make a new layer and put it under the reference layer over here. We can start with coloring the mother's face. Let's turn off our photo over here, we don't need to see this anymore. And let's pick the color for the mother's head. It will be color number 2 for me over here. You can pick your own colors that you picked from the photo and just drop it in here. Now we can tap here on continue filling and drop it to the other spaces where you have her body. So I'm going to tap over here to finish this. Now we can make a new layer and color maybe her hair. So let's make a new layer here. Let's pick the color for the hair. It will be color number 3. And drop it in here. And now continue filling and pick the other spots. Then tap here to finish this. And I have here this tiny spot left, so I'm just going to draw over this over here, okay? On the same layer we can color maybe the girl's hair, because they are far away from each other. So later when we add here some shading, it will be easy to do that. Let's take color number 5 for this and drop it over here, here. So now let's make a new layer, maybe for the girl's body. Let's pick the color. For me this is color number 4. We can color all the parts. Okay, and I just noticed I forgot to color the mother's fingers and this other hand over here. So I'm going to go back to the layer of her body, take the proper color, and now color those. Also here for the girl, I have to go back and color this small part. So I'll go over here, take the proper color, and color this part. Okay, now we can make a new layer and color the shirts. So let's make a new layer. For the mother, I have color number 6 for this. I can just drop it over here and here. And now for the daughter, I've got color number 7. Let's drop it over here. Now tap on continue filling and color the other parts. And over here, as you can see, these two elements are touching each other. So later it might be problematic when shadowing it, but don't worry, I'll show you what we can do. Okay, so all of the parts are ready. And also on the same layer, maybe we can color the headbands. So for the daughter, I have color number 9. And now for the mother, I have color number 10. Okay, let's tap here to finish this. And now let's make a new layer for the flower. Let's take color number 8 and just drop it over here. Okay, and now for the flowers over here, I have color number 12. We can just add it maybe here and here. And these two I will color with color number 13, like this. And now because this shape is not closed, I can just color this manually. So all of the elements are colored now. Now we can add maybe here some blush to their faces to make it a little bit more cute. For this we can go first to the daughter's face layer. Let's take color number 11 and let's pick a brush for this. Over here we can just go to my Siakula special brushes and let's take for this small noise brush. Before we start using this brush, let's go back here to the Actions menu, Preferences, Brush and Smoothing, and turn down the stabilization. Because this brush works the best when the stabilization is a lower number. So I'll put it here to almost 7%, okay? Let's make the brush size maybe about 10%, and we can draw here blush on the daughter. So very lightly, let's draw it like that. Okay, and now same for the mother. Let's go to the layer with her head, this one, and draw it over here. To make sure that will not come outside of this shape, we can set this layer here as alpha lock first. So let's tap over here and pick alpha lock. Okay, so let's draw it over here like that. And this will be fine. Okay, so now let's start adding here some shadows. We can start here with the mother. Let's make a new layer above this layer with her body. And let's set it here as clipping mask. So tap here and pick clipping mask. This means that now whatever we're going to draw here will be visible only on the shapes that are on this layer. Let's set this layer here as multiply. And let's pick the color of her body, so color number 2. We can start here maybe with the neck. Let's add here shadow like this, right under her neck over here. And maybe a little bit here on this right side like this. Now let's make the brush size smaller, maybe 4%. And add some shadow in her ear, like this. And don't worry, you came outside here probably on her chin. We are going to erase it. Just a second. We can add now a small shadow maybe here around her forehead, like that. And now with a smaller brush size, 2%, we can add some shadow under her brows, like that, a little bit here under her nose and the bottom of her nose. And that will be enough. And maybe we can add here a small chin, just a line here. So now let's take the eraser and just erase here this line. You can adjust the size of it and just erase it. Let's take brush again, and I will add here a little bit of shadow around her shirt. And now let's go to her hands. So over here I add the shadow at the bottom of her hand. And then here around each finger, I can make it a little bit darker. Okay. And now if you want to, you can turn down the opacity of this. I will turn it down just a little bit. I'll make it here 80%. Okay. So now let's do the same to the girl's body. Over here, let's make a new layer above it, set it as clipping mask, and change it to multiply. Let's take color of her body, color number 4, and we can do similar things. So maybe I'll start here with adding some shadow under her brow, over here, now around her ear, under her nose, around around her hair over here. And then on her neck. I added here some shadow from the hair on her arm. Okay. And then here on her hand. And we can turn down the opacity of this. I'll make it here 79%. Okay, now let's move on and we can add shadow maybe to the shirts over here. So let's make a new layer above it, set it here as clipping mask, and change this here to multiply. So now we can take the same colors as our items. So for the mother's shirt, I'm going to take color number 6. I'm going to adjust the brush size, maybe 10%, and just add here some shadow over here. Now we can draw maybe here a few creases with this. Just like that. And over here, like I said before, we have to be careful when we get close to the girl's shirt. So to do it precisely, we can just take here the selection tool. Let's take it over here. At the bottom here, let's pick automatic option. Make sure the color fill is off and just tap here on the shirt. This way now we can color only in this space. Let's take the brush. And as you can see, you can just add this color now here without affecting the girl's shirt. So I'll just do that. Okay, like this will be fine. So I can turn off the selection tool and still add here some shadow over here under her hand, like that. So now let's add the shadow to the girl's dress. Let's take color number 7 for this. And now here again, we can select here just this part. Let's take the selection tool, tap over here, take the brush, and this way we can just color over here without affecting the other shirt. I'll add here some shadow from that flowers. And that's it. So I can turn off the selection tool, and now easily I can color the other parts. Okay, and on the same layer we still have the headbands. So let's take the colors for them. I'll start with color number 9 for the girl. Make the brush size smaller. And just add here some shadow, like this. Maybe we can also add here some creases with this, just like that. And now for the mother, it will be color number 10. Like this. And now let's turn down the opacity of this. If you have to, I will just turn down just a little bit. I'll make it here 84. Okay. So now let's move on and add here some shadows to the hair. So let's go over here, make a new layer above it, and set it here as clipping mask. Let's change it here to multiply. And take color number 3 for the mother's hair. We can make this darker right here on the headband. So let's make it darker here on the neck, in this back part. And we can just draw here a few swirly shapes, like that, all over. Okay. And now for the girl, let's take another color, color number 5. We can make it darker here on the headband. And now just draw here some lines going with the shape of her hair, like this. And I'm not going to turn down the opacity of this, I think this is fine. And now for the hair, we actually can add here some light to make this a little bit nicer. So let's make a new layer for this. Let's set it here as clipping mask. And here we can use different blending mode. Let's take here soft light. Okay. For the girl, we can use here color number 12. We can make the brush size smaller, maybe 2%, and just draw here now some lines like this on her hair, following the shape of it, okay? Okay, and now for the mother, we can take color number 13 for this. So let's add here some swirly shapes like this. I think this will be enough. So now we can still add here some shadows to the flowers. Let's go to the layer of them, make a new layer above it, and set it here as clipping mask. Let's change it here to multiply. And we can take color number 8 to add here the shadows. Let's make the brush size bigger now, maybe around 8%, and we can just add it here like that. More here to the bottom part. Just kind of randomly over here. We can also add it here to the flowers. Okay, and now let's make the brush size smaller, 2%, and we can just draw here some lines like this. Okay, so it looks like there are some stems in here. And now over here, to make this a little bit nicer, we can add here some light. Let's make a new layer for this. Set it here as clipping mask. And change it here to soft light. Let's take color number 12. And we can just brighten up here these infused spots like this on the flowers. And then just a little bit here. We can draw a few lines over here like this. Let's turn down the opacity of this. I'll make it here 61. Okay. So now all of this is finished. Now we can still add here the background. For this, we can first turn off the reference layer. Let's go over here, tap here, and turn off the reference. Now let's make a new layer, and we can put this layer here all the way to the bottom. Okay, like this. And let's pick the color. For the background, I've picked color number 15. Okay, let's change the brush. Let's go back here to calligraphy and monoline brush. And we can just draw here some kind of random shape in the back. I just want to make sure that over here, I'll have more like a smoother line. So I'll start over here like that. And then draw here a shape like this. And I do it like that because I want to write here Happy Mother's Day. So I want to have here this line in the proper shape. So now let's do it like that. Okay. We can now fix here this connection. And let's color this inside. We can still adjust it if you're not happy with the shape you drew. In the background, we can add here some small flowers. Let's make a new layer for this. Let's take color number 12. And over here, we can just use my brush with the flowers. Let's go to Siakulaart Special Brushes. And take here this one, flowers. I'm going to use here brush size 48 and just stamp here some flowers like this. And now let's take color number 13 and add some of these ones. And now we can add here some stems. Let's take here color number 14 for this. Let's change the brush. I'm just going to take here this one, landscape, from my siakulaart special brushes. Let's make the brush size small, 2%. We can turn down the opacity to about 69. And just draw here some lines like this. We can now kind of add here some kind of leaves. Okay, I think this is enough. So now in the end, we can just write here Happy Mother's Day. Let's take the same color as this blob shape. So color number 15. And let's go to the Actions menu, Add, and pick here Add Text. Okay, let's write here Happy Mother's Day. Stretch it out. And now we can select all of this. So tap here and now pick Select All. And let's change the font. You can pick any font that you like. I'm going to take here this one, Good Dog Plain. And I'm going to adjust it a little bit. I will change here the kerning. I'll make the letters more spread out. And also the tracking. Okay, like this. And then I'm going to tap here on Done. Now let's take the arrow tool. We can adjust the size of this. Okay, like this. Tap here to finish this. And now we can rasterize this, so we can put this whole sentence along this line over here. So let's open the layers. Let's tap over here and pick here rasterize. Now this is just a normal layer, not a text layer. Let's take the selection tool. Let's pick here now freehand option. Make sure color fill is off. And we can now select here this, like that, Mother's Day, close the selection, take arrow tool, and just move it over here and rotate it. Okay, so try to already put it here like that. So we'll go like this line. Okay, now take the selection tool again. Let's move now just day. Put it like that. Okay. And now we still have to adjust the happy. And now if you want to make it a little bit more precise, we can pick here this warp option. And as you can see, you can now make this go even better along this line. Okay, tap here to finish this. Let's do it now for the mothers. Okay, and now for the day. I'll still change this a little bit. Okay, and this is how you can draw your portrait of the mother in a cartoon way. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you can share your drawing with me on Instagram. I'd love to see it. And if you'd like to get more tutorials like this, make sure to check out my Patreon. Link is in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye!